Long time no YouTube. Hope you guys can hear me okay. Welcome to Kundalini Yogini YouTube. I am Priscilla. Thank you so much for being here, guys. I'm really excited to be back on YouTube with the community and chat with you guys about some fun stuff that's been in my field lately and that I would love to pass on and share with you all. So today I wanted to start off by talking about regulating the nervous system. This has been a really hot topic in my own life and learning and expansion of knowledge and experience over the past few months, especially past 6 months or so. And I thought I would talk about a few things that I have been integrating to regulate my nervous system in new and powerful ways that I think are really important to talk about. And I would love to talk about kind of from the Ayurvedic perspective as well. I also wanted to share some time with you guys doing a live Q&A. Those of you guys that follow me on Instagram probably just saw I did a Q&A that I haven't done in a long time on my IG. So make sure to follow me there if you haven't yet. Otherwise, we can get into some questions here too. So it's going to be really beautiful. And thank you for joining me all the way from New Zealand. Very cool. We also have, oh, Kevin said your favorite topic. Awesome. Well, perfect. I would love to get some questions and feedback from you too. Hi, Kate. Great to have you here as always. Um, so yes, really quick plug before I get going. I am teaching finally an upcoming workshop. I really apologize for the delay. I told you guys who were at my last workshop that I would have one the next month, and I didn't. I've been traveling a lot the last 2 months, so thank you for your patience. I am going to be teaching another Ayurvedic workshop on June 12th, all about female health and the reproductive system. I'm going to be talking about womb healing, herbs, diet, lifestyle to combat very common imbalances we see in the womb, such as infertility, PCOS, painful periods, menopause, etc. So it's going to be really powerful and empowering for female bodies. So please make sure to get your tickets and share with anyone that you think might benefit from learning about how to regulate your body holistically and naturally with Ayurveda. So yes, let's get into talking about the nervous system. Greetings from Croatia. Oh, thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. I'm so excited to have you in Ireland. Very cool. Very, very cool. And Spain. It's so cool to have you guys all here. That makes my heart so happy. Okay, so a few things I wanted to share about that have been in my field. Regulating the nervous system is a very, very big part of Ayurveda. Actually, we use different terminology for it, of course. We don't necessarily refer to it as the nervous system. We usually talk a lot more in terms of doshas, right? In biological energies, we call the doshas, especially Vata dosha in particular. Vata is responsible for reaction, movement, and thought creation in the body. So it really, really inherently ties to the nervous system more than the other doshas. Now, they do play a role for sure, but in terms of Vata and how it works, we see a lot of correlation and links in the body to the nervous system. So, quite often when I'm working with a client or a patient in my practice, what I see when Vata is really aggravated in the body is often that there is a nervous system response happening, right? That might be an autoimmune response, that might be, a lot of anxiety in the body that's not regulated. That might be even manifest something as something as extreme as epilepsy. So Vata can really, really do a lot of damage when it's when it's out of balance and out of control. So how can we start to self-soothe, self-regulate, right? As you guys might have heard me talk about or be familiar with already, one of the frontline treatments for regulating the nervous system holistically is breath. Breath is our link between the body and the mind or consciousness. So when we do pranayama practices, breathwork regulation practices, this is one of the most direct, powerful, and efficient ways to regulate the nervous system. So first and foremost, if you have not familiarized yourself yet with breath work or have ever done any, I highly encourage you to start out with some simple yogic breathing practices. I have quite a few pranayama tutorials here on my YouTube channel that you could start with. I would recommend starting with Nadi Shodhana or alternate nostril breathing. This is a wonderful practice for regulating the nervous system, balancing the masculine feminine energies of the body, and Vata dosha too. So that's a great place to start. Now, what else is a very, very powerful frontline treatment in Ayurveda for regulating the nervous system? We use a lot of hot oil therapy to treat the nervous system. Because Vata inherently is very dry and erratic and moving in nature, how we treat it is by its opposite qualities, something that is very moist, oily, heavy, warm, and soothing, because these are opposite qualities to Vata. So hot oil therapies embody really the essence of these qualities. One of the best ways that we regulate the nervous system is through abhyanga, or herbal oil massage. Herbal oil massage can be done either by yourself, to yourself, so you can do this daily from your home. I highly encourage that practice for you all to try out as well. You can start off with coconut oil or sesame oil, depending on your dosha. Vatas and kaphas do better with sesame, and pittas do better with coconut oil. Warm that oil up on the stove, and then apply it from the feet all the way up to the body, all the way up the body to the head before you get in the shower. You want to massage this oil into your skin with long strokes on the bones and circular motions around the joints. It's a really easy practice you can start incorporating as well that is incredibly grounding and soothing for the nervous system. So those of you guys that are anxious out there, that are empathic people, it is a great practice for us to incorporate. It is so soothing and pacifying for this dosha that's really active in our bodies. The next two things that I wanted to talk about, let me just catch up real quick. Deborah, thanks for joining from the UK, Montana. That's amazing. Yes, I'm so excited for tonight's class too. I'm teaching in the portal tonight all about the true causes of disease. It's going to be super lit. So I'm excited to see some of you guys there. So yes, next two things I wanted to talk about that are something that I myself have kind of newly integrated as a big part of my lifestyle are working out and cold exposure. Now let's talk about these. These are kind of more well known, I would say, right, in the world, but I wanted to kind of share about it from the Ayurvedic perspective. So, although you might not notice or hear or see an emphasis in holistic medicine or in Ayurveda on working out, um, it is actually a huge, huge part of treatment, you can say, in Ayurveda, because we look at lifestyle as a huge factor, right, in the manifestation of disease or in the manifestation of health. So I have done yoga practices for many years, but I have not done so much of the gym and weightlifting and all of that stuff. I did in really, really minor bouts, but the last 6 months, I have been actively and consistently working out as part of my routine on top of my other practices. And I just wanted to share like a reminder of how incredibly powerful it is for the nervous system. Aside from the physical health benefits, right? The regulation of the nervous system and of our mental health is incredible when it comes to working out, when it comes to active movement of the body. One of the best ways to get out of the mind is to get into somatic practices, into the body. And that is why I find consistently being much more active, whether that might be running for you, whether that's, long walks with your dog, whether that's working out at the gym, a sport that you love, Muay Thai, something like this, right? Any practices like that you can get really into your body. I highly encourage you guys to also have as part of your life, because it regulates the nervous system in ways that we can't get around, and it's so potent, so powerful, and works instantaneously. So I remember in high school when I had really, really severe anxiety, that was literally the motivation to why I started going to the gym and started running, because I was so anxious that I was like, "I gotta try something." And the one thing that helped me, the one thing that really worked was going to the gym and running on the treadmill and moving my body because it just helped my body start to relax, start to ground, start to know it was safe, right? Start to put its focus on other areas. So one thing I just wanted to kind of share that not only has like been such a gift in my life and has really just helped me get more in touch with my power, my strength, but also I just it was a great reminder that I wanted to share with all of us how important movement and exercise is to our mental and emotional and spiritual well-being. The last thing I wanted to share about is that recently I have also started experimenting more with cold exposure. And I just did my first ice bath on Sunday. Before that, I have had cold exposure therapy before in like the ocean and other cold bodies of water. Even in India, we used to do cold showers and cold basically baths under one of these beautiful Shiva Linga kind of fountains that we used to do in like 3 or 4 in the morning, which is really really cool. But this is a little bit different being immersed in the ice water, and it was just a really incredibly powerful experience for me. And so many people, have been sharing about the benefits. And I was listening to a really cool podcast about the science behind it. And in short, there's too much science behind it. There's too much proof in the biological, physiological benefits of cold exposure. So I definitely encourage you guys to start researching that on your own and check it out. Um, I'm no expert in this topic, and I don't want to give any prescription because every body is really different when it comes to how cold, how long it needs to be exposed, etc. Um, One thing I will share from the Ayurvedic perspective is that certain doshas, like Vata, like Kapha, have much more sensitivity to cold. So you don't want to do this too frequently, especially if you know your Vata or Kapha constitution. And especially in like winter season, we should do this very mildly, possibly avoid it. But when we're in warmer climates and when we're doing it in moderation, I see and have experienced myself that there can be a lot of benefit to it. So definitely something worth exploring. If you haven't yet, I recommend it. It puts you in a very, very powerful state of stillness, silence of the mind, deep state of meditation. You can feel the body uh, stress response induced, but then afterwards, there's this complete peace. This dopamine release happens, and you feel very high, very euphoric, and it's a really powerful experience. So let me get to the questions. How's everybody doing, by the way? Really, really happy to be here with you guys. I've missed you too, as always. I always miss it because I delay it too much. Okay, Pennsylvania. Oh, thank you. That's so sweet. The reason I'm probably going a little bit is because I was in Mexico for 8 days and I got tan, which I'm happy about. I love the sun. Yeah, that's okay. You know what? You don't like it is exactly. Just be gentle with yourself. It's all about your own benefit, your own progress outside of what anyone else is doing, outside of what anyone else looks like, right? There's no comparison. Comparison is like the ultimate killer, right? So keep that focus in on you. I recommend, like, honestly, when people are starting with yoga, I think a lot of people can be intimidated when they go to yoga studios and group classes because of that, right? There's so much competition energy, which is like the opposite of what should be happening in a yoga space. But sometimes it's hard not to feel insecure or compare. So maybe start by doing practices by yourself at home, things that make you feel the best and things that help you get really into your body. Yeah, cold exposure. It's beautiful. So yeah, interestingly, Wim Hof, he kind of like he says that he developed his kind of own methodology, but it was definitely inspired and based off of yoga tradition that's been happening for thousands of years, right? The yogis and sadhus of India have been doing these practices from time immemorial, living in the Himalayas with no clothes, right? All through their spiritual tapas, breath regulation, and yogic practices. So that is definitely, in my opinion, the root of all of these practices and where it all comes from. Yeah, Kate, I totally agree. Thanks for sharing that. Oh, that's sweet. That's a sweet message, Kate. Um, okay, sorry, I'm just catching up on the questions here. Okay. Yeah, Deborah, I mean, that can happen with anything, right? I think we go through phases. Like, there are times where I have resistance to my spiritual practices, to yoga, to meditation, to puja, whatever it may be. Sometimes we need a little bit of a jolt or a wake up call, or maybe we need to make a little shift in our routine so that we can start to come back and appreciate it again. It's the nature of the mind, you know? Oh, wow, that's really cool, Callie George. Cool that you've been doing it for so long. Good for you. Prius, I'm not sure what you're asking. Can you elaborate, please? Yes, vagus nerve can be regulated a lot with breath, which is really cool. Oh, and thank you, Prius. That's a very nice compliment. That's yoga and Ayurveda for you, anti-aging sciences. Christina, you can do that. You can do that where you end, you can either begin or end with the cold and then switch over. What mantras do you chant while meditating, and who's your favorite deity? I usually, to be honest, stick with the pranava mantra. The Om is one of my favorites to go to consistently. I also do Mahavakya, Om Nityananda Paramashivoham. I use that a lot. I use Om Namah Shivaya. I use bija mantras for particular chakras that I'm working on a lot. And my favorite deity, I don't have one. I have too many. Sorry, I can't answer that question. It's too difficult. Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. Okay, finally caught up. Um, I really can't say I have an opinion on urine therapy because I don't know enough about it. But I would say be very careful because as per Ayurvedic philosophy, our urine is a waste product. So we would never really be wanting to consume a waste product because it's full of toxins. So from that perspective, that's all I know from that lens. But otherwise, yeah, I would have to do more research. Hey, Sydney, congrats on graduation. That's amazing. Um, yes, Sydney, I'm teaching a workshop all about this on June 12th. Please come. There's too much detail to share. That's why I'm doing it's a 3 hour workshop because there's like it's one of my favorite things to talk about. Empowering women to be back in harmony with our cycles, with our bodies. We do not need to be suffering monthly. We do not need to be in chronic pain. And it's become so normal, but it shouldn't be, right? It shouldn't be. Crazy rates of infertility, crazy rates of reproductive disorders like endometriosis and PCOS and all of that, right? So let's get to the root. Let's start to harmonize and sync back with our bodies so that we can live blissfully as women. We deserve that much. Sadhguru says our body somehow gets some kind of positive energy at 3:40 a.m. Do you feel so? Ah, yes, I mean, we talk about this as Brahma Muhurta, right? I have a few videos about how there's this special window of time about 2 hours before sunrise that we call Brahma Muhurta. This is a time where the veil between the spiritual and the physical world is most thin, and because so many creatures, living things are asleep still, there's an immense silence and sattvic kind of state we can tap into much easier. So it's really the best time for yoga and meditation practices. Yeah. My past life, some of my past life regressions I've had just in meditation. or in kind of the astral state. I've also had them just come spontaneously when I've been in particular places. Like the first time that I flew to India, was my first time I had a past life regression where I was in the airplane. I was looking out the window and I saw what India looked like before, um, like in Vedic times. I looked out the window and it was like I could see the whole land like it was from a different time. And I remembered it, and I remembered like that I had lived there during that time. But yes, there's also the child saints in our ashram used to do Akashic readings of past life readings. But I don't know if they're doing that anymore currently. Hello, Richard. How does the cold relate to the electrical Shakti running through the body? I have found that with my Kundalini, when it's really flared up, my intensity increases to unbearable is this heat. I find the cold shower cools it, but okay, okay. Richard, I think I know what you're talking about. When I have had immense Kundalini energy active in my body, it gets flooded with heat. Usually, especially the palms of my hand and soles of my feet get really, really hot. So much so that I would have to like put cold water on them and cold cloths when I was in meditation processes, especially when I was in India and around Swamiji, because the energy was so intense, um, and there was so much heat in my body, right? And if we think about it at a purely scientific level, we know that energy and heat are one and the same, right? Energy is heat, heat is energy, right? They generate they're the same thing really. And so naturally, when we're having this active energy happening in the body, you could understand why that fire element is raising in us, that heat is raising in us, because that energy is raising in us. So I think that it's interesting to think about it from that perspective. And yes, I do feel like the cold can kind of help to ground us again. Um, but I don't think it takes away in any type of negative way from that energy experience. Yes, Mark. Let me share the link. I think I can. Oh, wait, it's not going to let me share it. Dang. The link is on my Instagram story right now. I will also share it afterwards. I wish I could figure out how to comment on here. I'm sorry, guys. I'm so bad at this sometimes, even though I've been doing it for so long. But yes, it's on Eventbrite. The event is on Eventbrite. I'll share the link again, or you can please go to my Instagram. The link is there. You're in pain from your cycle? Is that what you're saying? And yes, thank you. Have a great day. Thanks for joining. Yeah, you got to release that energy. Let it come out in the form of sound, in the form of movement, however that it wants to express. Let it release. It's not about what is better. They're completely different energies. And I would actually say that, at least in my own experience, when the Shakti is really strong in the body, there is a lot of energy, but there is a lot of stillness at the same time. Like, my body might wanna move, or maybe, I'm literally, like, moving in some flow, or I'm feeling a lot of heat in the body, or I wanna dance, whatever it is, but my mind is completely still. So that should be happening, because when we're in that space of divine connection, the ego, the mind can't really exist there. So I think really in a way they're one and the same, but they're kinda different embodiments of that energy. Ah, yes. Okay. So I would recommend, number one, doing really gentle movement. Walking when you're having really bad cramps, walking or doing light yoga stretches for the groin and hips can be really beneficial. A lot of times we think we need to lay down, but actually it can make it worse. So do a little bit of light movement if you can, if you're feeling up for it. I would recommend that. I also recommend ginger tea. Ginger can help. Oh, excuse me. Ginger can help to reduce pain and inflammation, especially in the reproductive system. So do it like in a strong ginger tea. What else? You can do dashamula. Dashamula, you might not have that though. It's 10 root herbs from Ayurveda that's really good for pain reduction as well. Um, you can do a hot castor oil pack on your belly. So you can rub some castor oil and then cover it with a hot washcloth. That can really help as well. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I totally feel you on that. That can definitely happen to a lot of women. It used to happen to me a lot until I synced my cycle with my dosha, which I'm going to be talking a lot about in the workshop. So I hope you can join. I think it will be really beneficial for you, especially since you are dealing with painful periods. Please come join us. Pompeii God, I am not sure. I haven't really I haven't really timed it. I haven't really timed it. All right, guys. If there's any like last one or two questions, I'll take them. Then I gotta sign off. I have another call. Once again, hope you guys will join me at my next workshop. I would love to see you guys on Zoom face to face. It's the one downside to doing live streams is that I don't actually get to see you. So please come join the workshop or share it with women that you know might benefit from it. We're going to be talking all about female reproductive health and how to feel our best holistically and naturally. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me, guys. Sending you all so much love. And I'm going to be doing much more consistent content, especially on Instagram. So please follow me there. I'll also be doing more YouTube videos and live streams. So make sure to turn on the notification bell for my channel if you haven't yet, so that you get notified when I'm going live, when I post videos, etc. Usually when I lay down, it's too intense. Okay, okay. Yeah, let's talk more one-on-one, okay, love? Yeah, I'd love to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining. Big love, guys, and I will see you soon.